Now that the MLB trade deadline has come and gone and we have a pretty good idea what teams are going to be in the postseason and which teams are, were sellers and are completely out of it, I want to go ahead and give my thoughts on what teams I think are the best suited for a postseason push, which teams I think could easily win a World Series, and which teams I think are, a little bit of a tier below. While they still might be a playoff team, they don't really look like they're ready to make that leap yet. So let's go over that right after this. What is up, YouTube? It is your boy, Demar Sports here, coming back at you with another MLB video. Before we get into today's video, don't forget to leave a like on it and subscribe for more daily MLB content. Also, huge shout out to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Go ahead and check them out on their website, manscaped.com, and use promo code NMR to save 20% off your next order. They sent me over some of their products to try out, and I am a huge fan of what they've got going on over there. So go ahead and check them out at the link in my description, and don't forget to use promo code NMR to save 20% off your next order. And without further ado, let's get into the video and start talking about my current MLB teams tier list. Okay, well, starting off with the video, this video is basically going to be about playoff teams, so we don't need to spend a whole lot of time on these teams. Let's introduce the tiers first. First up, we got LOL playoffs, question mark, what are the playoffs? What is the postseason? That's what we got going on here. Of course, I had to start it off with my Angels, the A's, Marlins, Rockies, Tigers, blah, blah, blah. You get the point. None of these teams are making the playoffs. Are they mathematically eliminated from the playoffs yet? Some of them, no. I don't think anybody's mathematically eliminated yet, but are these teams going to make the playoffs? Absolutely not. And then we got the outside looking in, teams that are in the postseason hunt right now, but I don't think are going to make the postseason. We got a first round exit tier. These are teams that, I think will definitely make the postseason, but I don't think they're going to go very far. There's teams that are a lot better than them. We got borderline World Series contenders. That should say contenders on there, but basically these are the teams who I think could sneak into the World Series and surprise us, but I don't really think they're ready to make that leap yet. And then we got the easily World Series favorites. These are teams that are ready to go. They're all in. Their team is good enough to win a World Series. Just up to them if they do it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, honestly, I probably should have put the Boston Red Sox in LOL playoffs. They're 4.5 games out. There's definitely a chance, so I'm going to go ahead and put them in outside looking in because I don't really think they're deserving of being associated with these teams right now. However, I definitely don't think they are going to make the postseason. Let's go ahead and throw the Orioles in there as well. As much as I want the Orioles to make the postseason, I don't think they're ready to go just yet. Could they make the postseason? Absolutely. I think they're currently in a postseason spot, if I'm not mistaken. No, they're just out. They're half a game out of a postseason spot right now. You can see right here. So just on the outside looking in at the moment. So we're going to go ahead and keep them in that tier right now. And I really hate to do this, but the Chicago White Sox, man, I know they're 3.5 out and they're clearly the most talented team, or they have the most talent on their roster. In my opinion, in the AL Central. I don't think they're going to make the postseason, though. And then it's really going to come down to the Cleveland Guardians and the Minnesota Twins. And I'll be honest, man, it is an absolute crapshoot. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I'm going to go with the hot hand right here, and we'll go Cleveland Guardians. Put them in the first round exit. Put the Minnesota Twins in the outside looking in. I do like what the Twins did at the deadline, but I don't think the Twins have the pitching staff as a whole to make it to the postseason. I think their starting pitching is very weak, which is a strength of the Guardians. Their bullpen is solid now. They did get some bullpen help, but the Guardians I still think have a better bullpen in my opinion. Manuel Clase is elite. It's all going to come down to offense, and I have more faith in the Guardians to score a few runs off of the Twins than I have in the Twins scoring some runs off the Guardians. Next up in the outside looking in, this is the hottest take of the video here. You might click off the video after I do this, but the Milwaukee Brewers, man, I do not have faith in the Milwaukee Brewers to make the postseason. I think all the teams that are ahead of them right now are better than them. I think the Padres are better than them. I think the Phillies are better than them. I think the Cardinals are easily better than them, no matter how close it is in the division. I think they had a terrible trade deadline. I think they needed to address offensive needs. I know their stats are pretty good offensively, but that's because they like to beat up on teams like the Pirates and the Cubs, who have terrible pitching, and the Reds, who have some of the worst pitching in baseball. And just overall, even if this team does make the postseason, I don't even see them winning a game in the postseason. So I got them on the outside looking in. All right, so we've narrowed it down to our postseason teams. Congratulations to these teams. These are the ones making the postseason. The ones down here, starting with the Yankees, going to the Mets, and then of course the Guardians we already put in the first round exit tier. The Guardians, I think, are a very good team, and they're, well, they're a good team. They're a good team. Let me rephrase. They are not on a tier of any of these teams I feel like would beat them in a playoff series. However, they are going to make the playoffs by default because they play in the American League Central. Next in the first round exit tier, I got the Philadelphia Phillies. I just feel like the Philadelphia Phillies as a whole don't have the bullpen. The defense is going to be a big problem in the postseason, especially if you're dealing with teams who can, hit the ball very well, but maybe you don't have the most power. Like the Dodgers would be a big problem for them. I don't think they'll make it that far because the Dodgers will have a first round bye, but it'll be interesting to see. I do think their playoff rotation would be pretty damn good if we're talking Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, and then at the third spot, I don't even know who you'd put back there, but then they got Noah Syndergaard for depth out of the bullpen. They've got Kyle Gibson will be pretty interesting. He would probably be the third starter, him or Ranger Suarez, but interesting very much to see. I do think their lineup is very good. Maybe when they get Bryce Harper back, there's a chance. I do like what they did at the trade deadline, adding Brandon Marsh to get some defensive help, but for now, I got them as a first round exit team. All right, and next we'll go with the Seattle Mariners. Now, this is a tough one for me. I feel like, if I were to rank these teams, definitely the Mariners are better than the Phillies and the Guardians. There's not really much of a debate up there for me. The Mariners are a very good team, and we did see how they spanked the Yankees around recently, and they won two series against the Yankees this season. So, could they surprise us? Maybe. They're borderline. I don't know. I can't call them a World Series favorite. I can't even call them borderline a World Series favorite. So we're going to go ahead and put them in the first round exit. Could they win a wild card series? Yeah, they could. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but right now I got them as a first round exit team. I like what they did at the trade deadline, adding Luis Castillo. I don't think their starting pitching is as good as advertised. I think Logan Gilbert is a little overrated. I could call it a hot take. That's fine. Robbie Ray can be good. We've seen flashes of it, but he does get knocked around, especially by a team like the Yankees with a lot of good right-handed hitting. I think that'd be a really tough challenge for Robbie Ray in the postseason, so don't love their postseason rotation. I do like their bullpen, which is really big, and they have an okay amount of depth, so I don't know. They're a good team. I wouldn't call them a great team. And next we got the Tampa Bay Rays. The Tampa Bay Rays, I don't know, man. If they got Tyler Glasnow back, which is a possibility, I don't think it's likely. I don't think he's going to pitch this season, but there's always a chance. If they got Tyler Glasnow back, or maybe Shane Baz back as well, there's a chance they could be a World Series contender. I actually picked them to win the World Series coming into this season. I just don't think the team's there yet, though. I think the offense is really, really weak right now. The pitching is fantastic. The bullpen is phenomenal, but I don't think they're going to have the hitting to get it done in the postseason, which is the same problem they ran into last year. Okay, and the next up, I got the St. Louis Cardinals. The St. Louis Cardinals I like for sure, but in my opinion, I think they're going to have to go up against one of these three teams between the Braves, the Padres, and the Mets. And overall, I just don't see them winning a series against either of those three teams right now. They might have won a series against one of them earlier in the year. I didn't do that research. I'm sorry, I didn't look that far into it, but right now, if the Braves played the Cardinals, I think the Braves would win. If the Padres played the Cardinals, I think they would win. And if the Mets played the Cardinals, I think they would win. So overall, I don't see them making it out of the first round, assuming they're going to have to face one of those teams. However, they will make the playoffs, beating the Brewers out for the division. All right, let's move on to borderline World Series favorites. There's only... I don't know. This is a weird tier. These are teams that I wanted to put in World Series favorites, but I couldn't put them in there. So let's go ahead and get it started with the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have a great lineup. They have a great lineup, and it's starting to heat up. Matt Chapman's starting to tear the cover off the ball, which I did not expect. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is a second-half king. He's amazing. I could see him being huge in the postseason as well. Bo Bichette's a great hitter. Santiago Espinal was an all-star. Alejandro Kirk was an all-star. Danny Jansen's been good when he's been healthy this year. I think they just have a very, very good team. George Springer, I didn't even bring up. They got all these. Teoscar Hernandez, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. They got all these guys in this lineup. And the pitching, I love the 1-2 punch of Kevin Gausman and Alek Manoah. Outside of that, I don't love it, which is why I can't call them a World Series contender, as well as, or World Series favorite, I should say, which is why I didn't put them in the top tier. I also don't love their bullpen outside of Jordan Romano, and, yeah, I know they traded for, Anthony Bass, and who was the other guy? I can't even remember, from the Marlins, but overall, Blue Jays are not quite a World Series favorite, but they are a little bit better than a first-round exit. I could see them beating the Rays, the Guardians, or the Mariners. Mariners fans are definitely going to be mad at me after this tier list. Like I said, they're borderline. It's super close. I could definitely justify putting them. Maybe I'll change it at the end. We'll see. All right, and our last team in borderline World Series contender, that's going to be the San Diego Padres. I don't think this is a hot take after what we've seen since they made the Juan Soto trade, but we saw what happened last year. They completely collapsed. Are they going to do that this year? I don't think so. I think they're still going to make the playoffs. Not really much of a doubt in my mind about that, but I don't love their starting pitching. I really don't. I love Joe Musgrove in a game one, but is Joe Musgrove going to beat Jacob deGrom? No. Who's their second? Is Yu Darvish going to beat Max Scherzer? No. Are they going to beat any of the Dodgers starting pitchers? No. Are they going to beat any of the Braves starting pitchers? No. I just don't see the starting pitching getting them to the World Series. I can't see them beating any of these teams. I could see them getting out of the wild card if they face a team, let's say like the Cardinals or the Phillies. I could absolutely see them making it to the division series or the NLCS, but right now they just do not seem like a complete enough team to make it and win the World Series. And that leaves our World Series favorites tier. Let's go ahead and get it started with, we'll start with the Atlanta Braves. Why not? The reigning World Series champions of 2021. The Atlanta Braves, man, I love this team. I think this is the team I'm going to be rooting for throughout the World Series, or throughout the playoffs this year. I don't think they're going to get a first-round bye. They honestly might. I don't even think they're going to win the division, so they're going to be playing as a wild card team, which can be advantageous. We've seen with teams in the past. The 2014 Kansas City Royals made it to the World Series on a wild card. My Angels in 2002 made it to the World Series, or won the World Series through a wild card, so it's definitely possible. So, the Braves, man, I love their three-man rotation of Spencer Strider, Kyle Wright, and Max Fried. That is phenomenal. Charlie Morton's been a fantastic postseason pitcher his entire career, even though he's up there in years. They've got a great bullpen with some great arms. I love the Raisel Iglesias trade. That was huge to add to their bullpen. So, overall, I think the Braves, and they just have a ridiculous amount of depth. Austin Riley is fantastic. Ronald Acuna Jr. has been struggling this season, but he's still a great ball player. Michael Harris III, sorry, is fantastic. They just called up that other guy, Marquise Grissom, something like that. No, I think that's not him. They just called up Vaughn Grisham, and he had a home run in his first at-bat, so they've got a lot of depth on that roster. They have two of the best catchers in the National League. I love the depth they have on their roster. I like the bullpen, and I love the starting rotation, so I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the postseason. Moving on, let's go with their division mate, the New York Mets, Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. That's all you got to say. Their hitting's good. I think their defense is good. They've got pretty good depth. Their bullpen's okay outside of Edwin Diaz. Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. That can, if they are both healthy and firing on all cylinders come October, I don't know who's going to beat them. I really don't. I do not know who's going to beat him. Jacob deGrom is 2, maybe 3 guaranteed wins in a 7-game postseason series. Max Scherzer is 2 very good chances to win in a postseason series. Like, it is the Mets. The Mets. I'm just going to throw that out there. Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. That puts them in the World Series contender tier. Next up, we'll just finish the National League before we get to the AL. We'll go with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Talk about depth, man. I honestly don't know what their postseason rotation would look like. Kershaw, if he's healthy, would be great. Buehler has struggled this year when he's been healthy. He is coming back, so we'll see what happens there. I assume he'll be in the postseason rotation, but I could honestly make an argument that he shouldn't be, that he should be pitching out of the bullpen in the postseason with how much he's been hurt this year. Tony Gonsolin was a Cy Young favorite for a while and still has very, very good stats. Tyler Anderson's been fantastic for them. Andrew Heaney's been fantastic for them. They just have Dustin May's coming back. They're going to have so much pitching in this postseason. It is going to be ridiculous, and we know how good their lineup is. And one thing that's underrated about the Dodgers, how well they stay healthy. They really don't have a lot of injuries this season, at least. You know, last year they dealt with a lot of them, but this season they've been extremely healthy. So if they enter the postseason and they still got, you know, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, even Cody Bellinger and Max Muncy have been heating up lately. Joey Gallo's been playing well since he got traded over from the Yankees. they've just got some really, really good names in this roster. Trey Turner, I almost forgot to mention. The Dodgers are just such a complete team. I don't know. There's really no argument to be made there. The only thing I'm a little concerned about is the back end of their bullpen. That would be the shaky thing I would worry about with the Dodgers, and that's honestly been a problem with them in the past in the postseason. That's what's collapsed and allowed them to not win the World Series in the past, so we'll see what happens. I think they'll move some of those starting rotation arms to the bullpen, and it'll work out for them. And last but not least, we got the two AL teams. We'll start it off with the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees, just a phenomenally built team. My one little pet peeve with them is I don't think their rotation matches up with any of these three National League teams. And I honestly don't necessarily like it more than the Astros either. I think out of the World Series favorites, I think they have the weakest rotation, which isn't saying they have a bad rotation. These teams just all have better rotations than them, and that is one thing that's really, really important come October. I do like their bullpen. I loved when they added Scott Effross, was nice. Lou Trevino's actually been pitching pretty well for them too. I liked that pickup. And of course, Clay Holmes has been fantastic all season. He has had some struggles with command as of late, so we'll see what happens there. Just overall, I think the Yankees are going to have to out-hit whoever they're playing, and it's going to be really tough to do that if they're facing let's say Justin Verlander, Framber Valdez. They make it to the World Series, and they got to face Max Fried and Spencer Strider, or Clayton Kershaw and Walker Buehler, or Jacob deGrom, man. I would love a Subway Series World Series. That'd be pretty fun. I would love to see that. I would love to see any of those matchups. But the Yankees overall, I think they're very good. I think they have a chance to win the World Series. I wouldn't consider them my favorite out of this tier, but they're definitely a World Series favorite as a whole. And then last but not least, the Houston Astros. I think the Houston Astros are my personal favorite to make it to the World Series again this year. I think they are slightly better than the Yankees as a whole. The Yankees definitely have better aspects. Aaron Judge is the best hitter in baseball right now. He's passed Yordan Alvarez in pretty much every stat now. And we'll see what happens if they enter the postseason extremely healthy. DJ LeMahieu's having another great year. Giancarlo Stanton, if he comes back and is healthy in the postseason, he's always an animal in the postseason, so that would be interesting to see. But the Astros, in my opinion, have a little bit deeper of a team. I love the Trey Mancini trade. Yordan Alvarez is just a ridiculously good hitter, very much on the same tier as Aaron Judge. I like the Christian Vasquez move. I think he could be helpful in the postseason. Michael Brantley, when he comes back healthy, will be very nice. Kyle Tucker's fantastic. Alex Bregman's been great in the postseason in the past. Altuve's fantastic. Jeremy Pena is very good. I think they got a very, very deep team, and they have an absolutely lights-out bullpen. My favorite thing about the Astros is they have a very good bullpen top to bottom. Top to bottom, they have a great bullpen. Which a lot of these teams can't say. A lot of these teams have, like the Mets, they have a fantastic closer, but the middle of that bullpen is not great. The Astros have a good closer in Ryan Pressly, maybe not the best in baseball, but a very good closer, and the rest of their bullpen. Rafael Montero's been fantastic, Hector Neris has been fantastic, Ryan Stanek's been fantastic. I really like the Will Smith trade. I think that could be really helpful for them. Just overall, they've just got a fantastic bullpen top to bottom. All of these guys are fantastic. So that is going to be it for my tier list here. We've got the Braves, Mets, Dodgers, Yankees, Astros is, in my opinion, the World Series favorites. Any of these teams winning the World Series would not surprise me one bit. I think they're all perfectly built for October after the deadline. We got the Blue Jays and the Padres. I feel like they could have been World Series favorites, but they didn't do enough. Same thing, like I said, Mariners are borderline. I'll throw you a bone, Mariners fans. I'll put you here. I don't think, it doesn't feel good, but I'll put you there. I hate the Mariners. You guys all know this. The Rays, the Guardians, Phillies, Cardinals, I think they're all playoff teams, but they're going to exit in the first round. And then these guys are all missing the postseason down here. All right, this is a really long video, so I hope you guys stuck around till the end. If you did make it to the end, don't forget to leave a like on that video and check out Manscaped at the link in my description. Use promo code NMR to save 20% off your next order. They have some fantastic products over there, so go ahead and go check them out. Don't forget to subscribe for more daily MLB content, and let me know in the comments if you agree with my picks for this tier list. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today, and I will see you all in the next one.